I was explaining, sorry, when I was explaining this a little bit the ecosystem. So starting with meta building, as I said before, nice project with casket funding, 5 million euros and 375, if I'm not wrong, directly used to fund innovation projects from SMEs, so via dedicated calls. This is why, by the way, we don't have calls inside Meta Building Labs, because we will use the calls from Meta Building in order to choose SMEs that have interesting projects on building envelopes, and this will be offered testing in Meta Building Labs. So we don't need to open calls during Meta Building Labs. We already have done it in Meta Building. So the ecosystem is composed basically from, at the origin, 2 Horizon 20 projects, but then what happens? So around the ACTP, as I explained before, ACTP is a member of course of the project, very important member, and we have this ecosystem that will be composed, of course, of the digital platform. As I said before, that it will be very important, and we hope it is the, let's say, it can become the de facto platform for everything related to construction sector in Europe. We are working to offer a lot of services. We will have free access forever for the metabuilding.com platform for basic access for everyone. So the idea is that people use it really on a daily basis. Then we will have the OITB. So these are the testing facilities and the service providers organized under a single entry point and providing the services. And then the ISBL, so the governance of the OITB that will be in Brussels. This is more or less very simplified our intended ecosystem. So I already explained a little bit the metabuilding.com, which is operational. Now, of course, it's in early stages, but we use it in order to manage already the meta-building calls with SMEs, etc. So we are constantly adding new functionalities and working on the interface, etc. But it's ongoing work. But now we are creating, of course, the backend modules in order to really manage all the testing facilities and all the other services and other components of our service offer. So this is basically a snapshot, a screenshot of the platform at a certain stage. We have different modules. With modules, you can find information and access innovation funding. You can find innovative technologies. Already, some of them already developed in European projects. So we have a database of what we call industrial commons. So technology assets already developed in European projects that haven't reached the market. So the idea here is anyone can perhaps find these technology assets useful for a new project or a new development, so can rework on this, and so of course the suitable deals with the technology, with the IP owners, of course, and help going to the market to those already developed technologies elsewhere. So find a partner, of course, is something very, very useful. You all know, you prepare European projects, etc. You need to find partners somehow. When you need to contact someone that it's not in your network, it's also very difficult. So we hope this platform will help do this. Then innovation support and test your innovation is the module that will open up to the services of Meta Building Labs. So, well, what is the important things to consider here? Well, we have this platform, we have a service offer to develop and test in the Indian market, and we try to enable innovators with a direct access and direct ecosystem services for these end users. And another thing that I can tell you now is that Meta Building platform will be let's say, the platform that Built for People Partnership will use for something that we will create, which will be the innovation clusters in Europe. So there's a new CSA project, and the idea is to enable and push the emergence of innovation clusters in Europe, ready to really do innovation in the framework of Build for People partnerships. And we will use Meta Building platform in order to enable communication. The communication platform will be Meta Building. So this is one of the ideas we are working on, and we start the project in October. So also something interesting is, I had said before that our offer was quite generalistic, so we have 100 plus testing facilities, different testing facilities in Europe. But we think we innovated a bit, proposing something new, which is this new generation test bench, which we call it the O3 bed. So open source, open data, and open access building envelope test bench. So this will be a similar model. This is a development of a new model with the intention of having easy access to development testing. So you will have an environment, so a real test bench, as you can also see it here, where you can fit whatever panel, whatever, let's say, facade panel or roof panel, you can fit at real scale. So tackling the real problems when you may have when installing this in a real building. And also, of course, with all the sensors, with all the capabilities in order to properly test the materials. Of course, here you see with this will be digital twin enabled with parametric energy modeling. So you will have the real model and the virtual model. But so we will have 9 of these in different countries in Europe, and of course they will be networked. And so we hope this will be a game changer also for the small SMEs that need some kind of easy, and another thing is affordable testing, because you have some in Europe, you have some kind of big test bed in order to fit panels, whatever, but these are very expensive buildings, and so the running costs are very high, and this we expect to really be affordable with this one. And that's it. And then I will really, this is a snapshot of the technologies we will be developing. So we have nature-based solution technologies, urban canopy, a French SME developing a greening panel, a greening solution for facade. This Onyx Solar, so BIPV, a well-known actor in European projects and with a lot of buildings already done in the world. Ormipresa, so with concrete panel for refurbishment. Double skin facade also. And even 3D printed, so 3D printed concrete panels. And sun shading system, well, these kind of things. For us, these technologies, these are, of course, these are interesting technologies, but I would like to say that for us, this is the way we test ourselves. So we develop these technologies. All of these technology providers, of course, need assistance. So, of course, you have understood in the project, we have a lot of RTOs, a lot of expertise in different fields. So the idea is that inside our consortium, we must make the right service provider, the right RTO, the right knowledge provider that help these SMEs developing and testing and certifying if this is a need, their products before they reach the market. And of course, after that, we will demonstrate them in the buildings we have at hand in the consortium. So this is the Living Lab. We have Massachi here Living Lab, and of course, a node that is working with some of, let's say, official Living Labs, from their network. There are 4 or 5 Living Labs that would like to structurally work with Meta Building Labs. as one more service provider. So we are working with them. So Living Labs is specific methodology. So it's quite of, we can say participation, of course, but there's a methodology behind, and so Enol is helping us to really implement this methodology when we will set up the pilot sites. And the pilot sites very, very quickly in France, so basically social housing. In Italy also, in Florence, in Spain, in Asturias, we will have something. This is Basakshi here. We have a living lab and also some new development that will be probably hosting some innovations. And we have a very nice living labs, small living labs, which is, the name is Room 2030 by ArcelorMittal. It's an experimental hotel room in the Niemeyer Center. So this is, of course, modular construction, and we can fit whatever panel we want. And so this will host the 3D printed panel by Idonial. And that's it, very quickly. So, of course, happy to answer any questions, and of course, my fellow colleagues from the other OITBs. So I go to the room, and then if there's some questions.
Yes, and then, yes.
Yes?
Thank you, Jermaine. Okay, so that finishes the structured part of the conversation. We now have 20 minutes in which we could have an extended break, or we could answer questions to the public audience. After this session finishes at 4:15, we have a 15-minute coffee break, and then the three projects will come back together for a more detailed and private discussion to discuss things. But while we have the public audience, and this is maybe even a little bit more targeted to the online audience, we would welcome to have any questions about what we heard today. So I'll pause now for maybe 30 seconds to see if we have any questions. If not, I have a few written down for myself from listening to the discussions. So we're watching the chat, and also from the room. For the three projects, did you have any questions as you were listening? Sin, please.
Stan related from Vito. The services that the projects offer are mainly targeted towards SMEs, I understand well. Or my question is there also room for other RTOs, not part of the consortia, to perhaps together with the SME come and test there?
Yeah, was your question, because I understood two questions there. One, can an RTO join the testing ecosystem to be part of this idea? So is the OITB open to new members? I think was one of the questions you asked. And then the other question I think you might have asked is, can a large enterprise get their things tested within the framework of these OITBs, or is it limited to SMEs? Okay. And let me check. Can large enterprises be tested by the RTOs in these projects, or is it limited only to SMEs and innovations?
Well, in our case, short answer, yes. It's possible even a partner.
Thank you.
Yeah, at least in our case, one of the partner values is clearly not that the small medium enterprises having about 10,000 employees, so quite large the small medium enterprise. The other way, if I got it right, we're asking, can an LTD partner also come for testing, so being a client of their system? We're asking also for that, or in the initial part of the question, when does it come?
The initial question was, can RTO use the facilities?
Yes. So in the project, in our case, we have a small part even within the project, which we are testing something, one RTO partner for another. In short answer is yes. Clearly, you will fill up that client, so it will be still a client as well, specific pilot kind of service, but it's possible to test. Say the main focus are, at least in our case, small medium enterprises because of the nature of all the services are built around them. It doesn't mean they are excluded, but they're not the primary target.
Okay. So for Medellin labs, the answer is definitely yes, both questions, and very easy, because I think we consider our OITB is a business network. So a business network, we target full EU coverage. So very easily, if you are coming, I don't know, from Finland, we don't have coverage. So we are great we are really happy to have new partners from the OITB. You are coming from Belgium, we have the BBRI already as a partner. Vito is another LPO or more of the previous time, whatever, it's open. So then it's open how? So the project is not extendable, so we cannot got new members of the partnership of the project, but we will be operating very soon. Our OITB is hopefully we are setting up this business network. We are creating a single entry point. We are creating a digital platform to manage, and then we are open for business. So anyone, so any company, any big company, whatever, can come and say, "Guys, of course they will have to pay." But of course we want every actor of the construction sector in Europe. SMEs deserve more attention. This is why also in the call from the Commission, they know that for SMEs, it's more complicated to have access to this kind of service. Why, if you are a big company, you have engineers, you have design team, whatever, you have access to all of this stuff, so it's easier. But of course, we have to work, and we are striving to have a value proposition for every kind of actor in the construction sector. We will find a way to do it. And there will be definitely a way for actors that want to channel their offer via UITB to do it. But they will have to pay, of course. It needs to be a service, because they will have to pay. And then they could be even part of the OITB without being part of the governance of the ASDL, etc. So every single, we are starting with R2M, by the way. We are studying all these cases, but definitely we want everyone inside. The idea is we want full coverage. This multi-sided platform only work, or let's say work more and are sustainable if they have a lot of users. So the more activity you have, the more users you have, the more interesting will be the platform. People will find what they want inside, and this is a virtual circle, and this is what we are trying to do. Critical mass, so welcoming everyone that wants to join.
Maybe I can write you as well.
Sorry. I didn't notice that you want to know.
Yeah, so I mean, for us it's a bit similar as well, but we're breaking it down into two. As part of the open call, we're more focused on SMEs in that part. I will close right there. So we're more focused on SMEs, but they can come together from Leonardo as a small consortia to utilize our open call for us to validate our services and for them to use our services. Then when the ecosystem is up and running after the end of the project, because we're taking a slightly different approach, then I think, as you said, it's a service, everybody can pay and utilize that service that we can provide. And also when the project is finished, we can expand our ecosystem as well, and potentially new RTOs or new partners can join our ecosystem as service providers as well. I hope I answered all the questions. Thank you.
I think it's an excellent question, because in part, there are still decisions to be taken, I think, by all of the projects in terms of, are they completely open to welcome new members of the ecosystem, or is it a specific club with a specific character? And we are excellent on 9 pilot lines, and this is what we do, a clear brand and identity. And then this will also probably have to be agreed by the consortium partners. Do consortium partners welcome new testing facilities into the ecosystem? And what are the governance rules that surround that? But ideally, the spirit is open and is collaboration. How that gets implemented, I think each of the projects are still working on to some degree. So a great question. And any other great questions? Please, Claudia.
Actually, I have a question from the room, from Patricia Perota. You want to ask it yourself, or I? But I found the whole street. So, Patricia was asking where will it be located? And I said, yeah, it's a different type of idea. So maybe I let Antoine answer this question.
Well, more or less location, it was in different sites across the park, mainly molecules, not only. And
No, maybe it's out of range. Antoine, come here. Maybe it has to talk to some device here. I don't know. Yeah.
So I don't think there were maps with located location of all the better, like there should be very countries, Europe, France, Spain, Italy, and Poland, and a mix of 3-4 others. But it's and actually it's more like basic design that could be adapted to different. In the end, it's not so much different. To different kind of this, but it's more like to the implementation to be quite quick, but it's not really test final product, rather is during the development phase when it's like estimatically as initial mockup that needs quick feedback on the implementation, on some testing, on some potential feedback from architects, users, whatever. It's not only about full monitoring. So how do you deliver this kind of service quickly? And one of the points is to be quite close and have the service quite available quickly, cheaply, and that's also the idea of having this kind of network to share practices, share the offer, and even the methodologies, processes.
Antoine, if I could. I would like to compliment the answer. The O3 bet should cost about 200,000 euro. So let's imagine that CNR in Sicily would like to offer this at their facility, or a university, or industrial partner that wants to be in a technology park. They could partner with Meta Building Labs, maybe write a regional or a national call, get this new O3 bet funded, and immediately tie into the entire ecosystem created by Meta Building Labs and Meta Building. And the idea is that these 9 initial labs, and let's imagine 3 join in the future from people that write funding instruments, these 12 labs would share data, share processes, share best practices, maybe even exchange usage or exchange staff and interns to learn how to manage them and operate them cost effectively. Because the biggest challenge is having enough utilization of any research infrastructure that you make an investment into. So where they may be located, for example, R2M will place one in Trento, in Rovereto, where Green Building Council Italy is, and where they've just founded a technology park of 20 or 30 companies. So we believe we can partner with them to give them a testing infrastructure to link them, link us, and create a new Meta cluster. So this would be a vision. But the big idea is to have a piece of IP that can be licensed or sold to other parties, where they can also develop a win-win relationship and come into the ecosystem in a profitable way or a co-financed way. So this would be part of the intent. And I think we have 9 minutes left. And we have no questions from the online chat. So let me invite any other questions.
I'm Roberto, so we are part of one process. So I know more about the building labs regarding the governance of these systems. How the 3 projects are now deciding, discussing about these aspects.
Yes. So yeah, in our case, it's something where country development, the aim is to create a joint venture with all those partners. So a company will be set up, administered by all the partners involved in the project, so they can all have a chance in the decision-making, strategic approach of the company, and support both the technical and the aspect. But if we find like the project is really, we will start the process soon. So it is something that's an open discussion part of the project, and something that we're in we start to base part of the as well. So yeah, the main goal is right on the place, the partners involved.
Yeah, for us, I mean, the discussion is ongoing, but we would divide the vision in two parts. What happens within the direction of the project, because within the direction of the project, we are all connected by the grant agreement, we have some obligations, so it's easier to handle, but we have to do this time, and what will happen afterwards in particular. So hopefully the ecosystem and the single entry point will last longer, that's the aim. And we need some processes to be defined now, where we have covered by agreements that we already in place to be able to operate it in the future. And I think it's essential to have agreements to really decide how to handle requests, how to handle the requests also of joining the ecosystem. So I think it's natural consequence that at some point there will be technologies emerging we cannot test, but hopefully will exist and need additional expertise. How do we decide to include or not somebody? Of course, we're open, but what Tom said earlier, the word branding, I think it's very important because if you want to be reliable and trustworthy, you also need to provide the brand. So if something is tested, is developed in the ecosystem, any of the ecosystem, it kind of ensures that the quality is high. So you need to have processes to decide to include somebody or not. A bit like, I don't know, I said earlier, remember if somebody comes and asks to endorse either a conference, a publication, just a piece of software, there are processes to decide whether ITBs as an institution, as an association, in this case, gives endorsement or not. It's not a decision taken in the same way and goes pretty well. So I think that yes, we need a legal format and we need some processes remarkable for what will happen in the future, being optimistic and if we are successful. So,
Francesco, while you have the microphone, could you explain what the open tender for buildings, how does that work?
the call for buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in short, we have some budget on the project itself and on industrial partners. That's their technologies in real conditions. And the decision taken in the writing phase was that we didn't want to have, let's say, demo cases as partners, but to select later buildings that are suitable for testing those technologies. So the nature of the call is that building owners can apply, and we encourage our industrial partners to promote buildings simply because they know the products very well. So I don't know, one of the partners, Oitb, is a facade supplier. Of course, if they have the perfect building for them, then it's easier for themselves to go to a client and say, look, our product worked in this real building, and for them it's much more valuable than doing their simulations and testing labs. This doesn't mean that all the industrial partners have case studies. Some of them are more medium enterprise that don't have access to buildings or not the building they would like to have for the new technology. So in short, if somebody wants to apply, you just have to fill a form on the website explaining the type of building they have, in which technologies they are interested, and the list of technologies with some explanations is available on the website. Contact us or the partner leading this activity for more information. And very shortly they will be contacted because if I'm not wrong, the first call will close by the end of this month. And afterwards we'll start the selections. The idea is, as also the others are going to try to have a balance in between testing, matching the need of industrial partners and having a geographic representation. So hopefully not only testing in one country. But in the end of the day, it's not essential. It's a wish, but it's more important to prioritize the need of industrial partners, being the client.
Thank you. And this microphone seems to choose when it wants to work. We had one other question, I think, that was suppressed. Alain.
Yes, just one question on my side, which
maybe a bit provocative. So am I allowed to do so, Chairman?
Yes.
Yes, okay. At the end of those projects, well, there should be three, we say, different OITBs in some way. If I jump into, for instance, time commons, and well, I'm in V2. Maybe V2 is not involved in any of them so far, but V2 has some facilities as well. So if I want to join and provide some of my facilities in order to allow then innovators from Europe, of course, to get access to those facilities in an enhanced way, how am I going to choose one of the OITBs? And for instance, and the other one is, sorry, it's a bit provocative, but, and on the other end, if I'm an SME, and I have an innovative product, how am I going to choose one of the OITBs in terms of the innovation services that we can provide to them? Well, it's not necessary to answer all the aspects related to this question.
Sorry, time's up, time's up.
I would say, truly, the question is the toughest one. If there are pre-open innovation services similar, how somebody can choose to ask rate one or the other, and even ask why three of them do not end up being one big system. This is something we can discuss among ourselves and find synergies, or potentially ending up in one big thing. It depends really, and to some extent this comes to the second point, which is why potential clients of small medium enterprise should go for one or another. Let's say the easiest answer is, if I'm a say producer like Foki, I tend to like the closest one if I'm happy with that for logistic reasons. So that's the first but simple answer. If my product is a bit more easy to transport, then this starts to be a bit weak as an answer. So in that case, the second thing is either you have some unique selling points, so that could be that there are specific strengths in the three of us which are not found at the same level, or maybe there's a long-term relationship with that specific technology. So perhaps the second level is, okay, it's easy to transport, but the expertise, the deep expertise is available only in one of the three. Or basically there is no clear argument to select one or the other. In that case, probably the answer is the one you know. So if one of the three has a better communication strategy, has a better promotional strategy, is the one that is most successful. If I have to give an answer now, surely the first answer to me is much more complex, because it means if the other perspectives of why percent people would like to go be out to them, within all two of them at the moment, there are partners that are involved in both consortiums like that. And I think it's a big topic for discussion, but for extent.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it is a bit similar, but I think all the three different projects or three different ecosystems we have a different combination of involved partners or different combination of services. And also I think each of us is kind of targeting something slightly different. For example, I think we were supporting pilot line as well, as kind of, I guess, the main different factor of the other projects that were more focused in pilot line as well, upscaling them, combining them into a big material, compared to the other projects that we did starting much higher level. Yes.
Dimitri, can you define pilot line? What is a pilot line?
So pilot line for our project is any, SME, in our case, that is producing a material, a component, or anything that can be combined into a big network of components. So for example, we have a window provider, for example, which is one pilot line that gets combined with uniform clothing, another pilot line, ECM, which is staging materials for climate conditioning, and we're combining all of these into a living component of advanced materials from those pilot lines. And as a project, we're supporting those pilot lines into upscaling their production, improving their quality, introducing machine learning and AI in their production facilities, including monitoring of the process outcomes. So we have a more kind of targeted aspect of supporting pipelines for material providers, component providers, for bringing the components. And sorry, and what was the first question?
It was the two sides, I would say.
Yeah.
One,
And
how to bring it,
how to
and
choose which
power.
product to be involved. That's what the first one. So I think either you can, as I guess, a provider of a service, and target all three of the projects, for example. I can see why you're not being involved in all three as a service provider with their different target audiences. Or I guess what takes a bit more the capabilities of the company once they include the ecosystem.
I don't understand your pilot line concept. If you have a technology provider which is part of the pilot.
We have both technology providers.
But I mean,
the consortium ones that they're coming up.
yeah, but I mean, in the consortium during the project, but then afterwards,
They stay service provider.
service provider of what?
Materials. Material provision.
So I have let's say, a French window SME, they want to have some help in developing them.
Yeah.
They will go to your pipeline, but they will have another competitor, let's say, that also window provider that will be part of that pipeline.
One we provide something more specific, if that makes sense. So I think it's combining different materials, not just that it could be facade elements as well, communicating materials, different components that could be done into a sound span, for example, to create something novel, something innovative, with a combination of materials that didn't exist before. So combination of materials that SMEs or using material couldn't provide on its own. So by combining as a service with different material provisions from other SMEs, we can create a product that can go to market, be tested within our ecosystem, validated. I think that's kind of a different approach than what I think our approach is doing different. Because I think, we're more focused on the material aspect and lower here and bring it up kind of thing.
Jermaine, and maybe to
Again,
close,
our approach is quite different. We have service providers, typically your facilities. So we are waiting for clients, whichever client, to test their stuff. We don't have these more sophisticated, let's say, pilot lines that you have. I think both
I
of you.
think we have to observe
And the approach is, for instance, is very easy. Example, if you develop a facade panel in Ireland today, you need to test it. It's an important development. You need to test it to resistance to fire. They cannot do it in Ireland. There's no testing facility for testing against fire in Ireland. So they have to send it to BRE in the UK or something like that. So this is a typical need for, so now, hopefully, we will have an entry point in Ireland with National University Galway, and now a new is being created, a new technology center that is driven by this university and will be part of our ecosystem. So now they won't have to send it to UK. They will have access to our services, and of course the stuff will be tested somewhere, but not only in the UK or whatever. They open up to a lot of possibilities, but just a simple final testing will be something that we will typically provide. Yes, Professor.
oh, thank you. We would like to close the public portion, and I'll make just some generic comments on the very excellent question from Alain. So before okay. So from OITB workshops, one of the challenges in OITB projects is from the governance structure, how do you decide what lab in a project or in an OITB gets the work that came in? And there has to be trust. And that can be a directed process, or it can be there's Coke and there's Pepsi and there's 7-Up. Clients free market. You choose based on the information you have. We've often used booking.com as a analogy. You can go into booking.com, and if you have enough information, you can book your stay for a variety of reasons, and everyone will have different reasons to choose different selections. But Alain asked, not within an OITB, looking at these 3 OITBs that have received funding, what message are they conveying to the European construction industry about who they are, what they offer, and how they govern afterwards? And we don't answer that today. I think that's an excellent question. The other question, I think, is on long-term viability. Are you open or are you closed? And I think all OITB projects are at some level a multi-sided platform business model that connect different sides. And the key to any type of multi-sided business model is ignition and critical mass. And most of these fail. But the ones that make it, such as Airbnb, such as Uber, such as Booking, or other examples, they really do take off. So the challenge is always to get enough critical mass on all of those sides so you have enough actors in your ecosystem. And maybe this answers Alain's question. If any of the projects are clearly expert on something, people go there. If another one has a big user base of SMEs, then that's the one the RTOs that want to be in an OIT we would join because it has the most SMEs. So it's all about critical mass, branding, trust, and ignition. So this is classical questions for the multi-sided business model. But these are questions and challenges ahead, I think, of all of these 3 projects. And that's one of the reasons that we've come together today, because we want to discuss these things even deeper in the next session. So with that, we're going to stop the public portion. We still have 10 online viewers. Thank you for still being with us. So a good workshop. Let's take a 15-minute break and then come back here, just the 3 projects, if you're involved in the projects, and let's roll up the sleeves and have some of these difficult discussions, questions and answers internally. Thanks everyone for joining online.